Hi, I'm Brita, the questioning quilter, and today we're not only going to learn how to make this beautiful Jacob's Ladder quilt, I'm also going to show you how to make some fun variations like this one and this one. And best of all, they all start with 5-inch and 2.5-inch charms. So easy. Let me show you. For this project, you could just buy 5-inch charms. They're available almost everywhere. Or you could cut your scraps into 5-inch squares, or use a combination of both. Now, we're going to turn these 5-inch charms into half-square triangles. And to do that, we're going to need a dark and a light charm. You'll put them right sides together, draw a line down the center. You're going to sew on both sides of the line. Then you'll cut on the line. You will get half-square triangle, which you will trim down to 4.5 by 4.5. We want these all straight and square. The dog ears will be removed. You're going to need 4 of these half-square triangle blocks. Now, the next thing you're going to need is 2.5-inch mini charms. Now, you can buy them certain places. You could cut up leftover binding strips. You could cut up a jelly roll, or you could do what I do, which is just take all of my scraps, the little scraps, and I turn them into mini charms. Now, we're going to use these mini charms to make 4 patches. So, you just do light and dark alternated. Sew this together. You'll get a 4 patch that looks like this. So, for each Jacob's Ladder block, you will need 5 of these 4 patches. So, you will need 10 dark and 10 light. We are going to put these together so that the 4 patches go in the corners and in the center. Now notice that I've got the dark in the upper left and the lower right. It's making a dark diagonal line. So we have 5 4 patches in the 4 corners in the middle. Notice we've got this dark squares and the light squares form another diagonal line. So when we put the half-square triangles in, we're going to point the dark part of the half-square triangle towards these white squares. And we're going to have these pointing towards each other. So when we put these in like this, notice that you have kind of a dark diagonal line here with a white center. And then the dark squares make a diagonal line going the opposite direction. And when they're all sewn together, they look like this. And once you've made all the blocks, we can go to the design wall. Once you have all of the Jacob's Ladder blocks made, putting them together is pretty straightforward. Notice how this is pointed to the left. We're going to have the next one, so this is sloped to the right. So it'll be left, right, left, right. Now for the next row, we're going to start sloping it to the left. And so this is to the left, so the next one's going to be, you guessed it, to the right. And so now you can really see the design coming together. When it's all sewn together, it looks like this. I love how these dark lines make these crisscrosses. Now, can you see my mistake? If so, tell me about it in the comments below. I didn't notice it myself until I was almost completely done quilting it. Oh well. Now, I love this in scraps, but you could also make this with 2 colors, 3 colors, 4 colors, or whatever you want. But what I'm most excited to show you is the variations that I mentioned at the very beginning. So, as the questioning quilter, I began to wonder what if. See how this is a dark diagonal with white squares in the center? What if we turned these each 90 degrees? So now we have a white diagonal with dark in the center. And when we sew them all together, they look like this. And if you made this into a full quilt, this is what it might look like. Pretty nice, right? But that's not all. I wondered, what if we took one of this variation that I just made and mixed it with the standard Jacob's Ladder? So to make this quilt, we're going to start with the variation block here. That's the first one. Now we're going to have the standard Jacob's ladder block next to it. So this one is pointed to the right, that one is pointed to the left. The next row is again the Jacob's ladder pointed to the left. We have this to the left, and now the variation pointed to the right. I love how the center is so interesting, don't you? And when all of these blocks are put together, you get this beautiful quilt. I love how you have the dark stripes going that way, the light stripes going this way, and this really interesting center design. But wait, there's more. I ended up trying a whole bunch of different things. I came out with a dozen different layouts, and I made the mistake of asking my husband which one he likes the best, and this is the one that he chose. So I said, okay, I'll make a sample of that. And he said, no, I really like these scraps. They're so pretty. Could you make an entire bedspread out of this quilt? Well, I'm not good at saying no to him. So let me show you the block, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So we start off with this variation. So we've got the white stripe with the dark in the center, but we're going to turn each of these corners. We're going to turn them in. Just a little change, but it does make a big difference. So here is the block, and if it's all sewn together, it would look like this. So by now, I bet you can guess how this block is going to go together. This one is sloped to the right. This one is slanted to the left. So the next one is also going to be slanted to the left because it's the next row. And then the fourth block for this motif is slanted to the right. And you can see we've got this darker diamond here with these 2.5-inch charms and a diamond surrounding that with the white background. I really like this. And because I made this into a queen size, here's what the finished quilt looks like. So this is all that I can fit on my design wall right now. I mean, it is queen sized. I think I agree with my husband. I really like this variation with the diamond and the framing. And when I made it into a quilt, I felt like it needed a dark border, and then I added another border of these 2.5-inch charms. And I can hear some of you asking, do you have a pattern for this? And yes, I do. And it's free to everybody who subscribes to my newsletter. I'm going to send it out in a couple of days. And if you missed it, that's not a problem. If you go to my website, questioningquilter.com, on any page, you can click the link to subscribe. And the confirmation email, you might have to look for it in your spam folder, but you will get a confirmation email with a link to the newsletter archive, which will have a link to this pattern and a whole bunch of other free patterns. So sign up right now. And I made all of the quilts that you saw here as part of a lecture that I give to guilds on scrap quilting. But in making this video, I came up with a whole bunch more different Jacob's ladder variations, some of them kind of wild, like this one, and even this one. So let me know in the comments below if you would like a second Jacob's ladder video where I explore some of the other different variations that you can make. Thank you so much for watching. Stay well and happy quilting.